So the genetic code, this is our last section here of our chapter 2.3. The genetic code is an arrangement of nitrogen bases in your DNA that determines the proteins that will be produced in your body. So every single piece of our DNA tells our body what types of proteins to produce. And proteins are important in many functions in our body. They are basically in every single process in our body. If we think about our blood, for instance, because we did talk about blood, hemoglobin is a type of protein that attaches our oxygen to our red blood cell. So without those, we would not be able to transport oxygen around our body. So these proteins are really important to many functions in our body. And that is why it's important that we have proteins, and it's important that this process is really important, I guess, is what I'm saying. Protein synthesis, how it works, it says the DNA is a set of instructions that directs your body, and your genes that are located on your chromosomes are specific segments of DNA that code for specific proteins. And determine your traits. It says proteins are like molecules made of smaller units called amino acids. And it says if the protein is the product created by a recipe, the amino acids are the ingredients. So I did have a drawing there. I'm going to draw it a bit better. So each little piece, if this was our chain, each piece is an amino acid, and the whole chain together, is the protein. So each little piece, amino acid, the whole thing is the protein. Okay? So proteins are chain-like molecules, made up of amino acids. And the recipe is the whole protein, and the amino acids are the ingredients, okay? And then this last part is cut off. So I'll explain to you exactly what it did say. It says your cell reads the nitrogen bases in groups of 3. These are called DNA triplet codes. Each group of 3 nitrogen bases codes for a specific amino acid. These can be found in your data booklet. So an example, just to illustrate sort of what this is talking about. If we have a chain of DNA, I just made up a random chain. How it figures out the different proteins that it creates is it splits your DNA into groups of 3. It says these are triplet codes. I don't know if you'll need to know this, but these are called codons. Okay. So each section of 3 is called a codon, and they will code for a specific protein. So if we were to use, and like it says, these specific proteins are found in our data booklet. So our Science 30 data booklet that you can find them in there. I also have it on this next slide. So if we were going to look back at my DNA that I made up, I'm just going to write it here. ATG CAGTTA. So that's my protein my DNA that I wrote there. So how we would use this data booklet, or this little table that's in our data booklet, is we will look for groups of 3. So on the very left-hand side, you see it says first base. That's the very first letter we're going to be looking for. So in our case, it's A. So we're going to go here. Then on the top, it's our second base, which we know is T. So we are going to go in this section. So we know AT, it's in this section. And then we look for our third letter, which is G. G is right here. Wow, I actually picked something that was a start codon. That is pretty cool. Maybe that was I remember this. Anyway, so what we would do if we were doing this was a question, we would go, okay, it's ATG right here. That codes for MET or start. So I'm going to write MET, and in brackets I'm going to write start. We normally always have to start with a start codon, so that's why I'm saying it's pretty crazy that there actually is, I believe, only one, and I remembered it and wrote it. Crazy. So that would be what that codes for. So ATG codes for MET. And MET is actually a type of protein. I don't remember what it's called because it's not fully there. But we normally just write the first three letters of the protein just to make it easier. So CAG, we're going to look that one up. First base is C, second base is A. So we're looking in this block. And then we look for G, CAG, that's glutamine. Okay? So for me, what I would do is I would write GLU. That stands for glutamine. And then the last one here, TTA. Just erase my ones from before. So TTA, we've got T, T, and A right there. So it's leucine. So I normally write LUE for leucine. Is it LEU or LUE? LEU, yeah, right. Okay, so that's how you use that table to figure out what proteins your DNA is coding for. And it's actually not what proteins, it's amino acids. So these are all specifically amino acids. And then all together, if this was created like a chain, if it was connected, then this connection would be a protein. Okay? So that's how you will use that, and it is in your data booklet. Do I remember what page? I don't, but I will look that up right now. Just let me grab the booklet. I think it's near the end of the booklet, but I'm not positive. Normally is. Yeah, so it is on the last page of the booklet, page 13. So you should see that same chart on page 13 of your data booklet. I'm going to write that on here, on page 13 of booklet. Data booklet. All right. So let's do an example. I already did an example, but what are the amino acids for the following codes? The code of DNA. So it's ATG. So if we go to our page up here to look for ATG, I'll get rid of my coloring already. So we're looking for ATG right there. Again, it's MET. So luckily, this is a start codon. So if you want to write start or MET, up to you. CAT is our next one, C-A-T. So C, A, and then T. It's histidine, so you just write his. GCA, GCA is alanine. TTA TTA is leucine. And TAA, the last one, did I just do that? TAA, sorry. TAA is a stop. Okay, so we need to always have a start and a stop. So when it starts, we know that's going to start creating the chain. And when we have a stop, then in our nucleus, it's going to break off. So this piece that's connected together, which is only 3 amino acids long, this would break off and go somewhere in the body. Go to where it's needed. Okay, so that's sort of the point of all this. We're creating proteins in our body all the time because proteins are used a lot for fixing things, I guess. You think of like bodybuilders and stuff who are building big muscle, they're eating a lot of protein so that they can help to, I guess, fix the tears in their muscle, because that's really what creating muscle is. It's creating that scar tissue, and then your protein is going to replenish it, and then you could build more muscle. So it's always used in our body to replenish and to sort of fix things. So this brings us to the very end of this section. There is a couple questions that I would like you to do on this. I'm not going to cut any out, so page 114, 33, and 34, and then page 115, I want you to do number 1. All right, and that is that section. We've got one more piece on the DNA unit, and then we will be done our biology chapter.